Good morning, guys. So today I want to show you how I store almost all of the guinea pig's belongings, and it's kind of a good time to show you this just now because I haven't finished cleaning out their cage yet, and all their bedding has been washed and dried, so I can show you literally all the fleece that I have for the guinea pigs because none of it is in the washing machine or the drying cupboard. Unfortunately, it means that you get to look at quite a dirty cage. I started already cleaning out, so they don't have any of their hidey houses anymore, nor their food dish. They still have their hay rack. I don't like removing that. Do you have an itch? Are you done scratching? Yeah? Because that's not very nice to see that on camera. So all they have at the moment is one cardboard box, and Pew seems to be lying in it. Natasha is next to it, and Sarah Jane, I think, is just lying down the other side of it. So before I show you the fleeces, I want to tell you a bit about my, let's call it philosophy of storing guinea pig stuff. So before we moved to Edinburgh, in our old house, the guinea pig stuff was a bit everywhere. I had a couple of cupboards in the hall that contained guinea pig stuff. There was stuff in the kitchen, there was stuff in the guinea pig room, there was stuff in the garage, there was stuff in the driveway. So there was stuff a bit everywhere. And when we moved, I decided I no longer wanted this. I wanted to keep all their stuff quite contained. So the only places where there should be guinea pig stuff in this house is in the garage. And at the moment all I have in the garage is their enclosure for when they go outside on the grass in the summer. There are 2 IKEA beds. I'm not using those at the moment. I'm using their footstools at the moment, and I will show you those later. Some grids to build a CNC cage, which is always handy when I want to build a hospital cage or anything like that. A tiny bit of leftover lino, which is what I use as a base for my cage. Or, well, it's a complete wooden cage, so it has a wooden floor, but on top of that I used lino to protect the wood. What else is there in the garage? Oh, there's the pet carriers that I use for when I take them to the vet. And I think that's really it. Oh yeah, and it also has the hay, so I got about 6 big bags of hay stored in the garage as well. And that's it, so that's all that should be in the garage. In the house, everything should be either in the guinea pig room or in one dedicated cupboard in the kitchen, so that it's not spread out everywhere. At the moment that's not quite true because I have a 10-kilo bag of pellets, which at the moment is stored in the office. It should really be in the garage, but our neighbor kindly brought it upstairs for us, and I don't want to take it back down because it's heavy. And yeah, and then also the hay is not in the guinea pig room at the moment because I don't have a box for it just now. It's just in a bin bag, and I don't want the guinea pigs to get to it and bite through the bin bag or whatever. So let me zoom out. So in the guinea pig room itself, apart from the cage which fills up most of the guinea pig room, and I should mention here that the guinea pig room is this area that hangs off the kitchen. There's in the door between the kitchen and the guinea pig area. There's just this extra area which you can't really do anything about because we are under the roof, so it's kind of under the eaves and there isn't enough room to stand up everywhere in the room. So it's really wasted space unless you have guinea pigs and you need a place for the guinea pigs to live. So most of this room or this area is taken up by their cage. And then on the left side you can see I have 2 storage bins. So at the bottom that container is for shaking out their fleeces, so I don't have to take their rubbish downstairs every day. And on top of that I have the hay box. At the moment the hay box contains what is called ready grass, so that's really only fed sparingly as a treat. So yeah, and that box usually is for the hay, but because I have the ready grass in there I don't have a box for the hay. So what I want to do is here on the right. We have another recessed area, so I want to get a container for that area so I can store the hay there. Then as you come out of the piggy room into the kitchen, we have this cupboard here, and that's where I store all of the guinea pig's belongings. Normally. Today is a bit atypical because I am actually going to be away next week, so I already started pulling stuff out of this cupboard and into a crate, so it's easier for my husband to find what he needs, because he will be looking after the piggies while I'm away. So let's have a quick look at the top here. This is where I store their hidey houses, and I kind of put them all inside one big hidey house, and these are all their fabric hidey houses, I should say, and I kind of store them inside each other to save space. There are a number of lap blankets and stuff for their IKEA beds right here, and then on the other side I have a couple of Christmas fleece blankets, which I'm undecided yet whether I keep them or not. Usually this cupboard is a lot more full, but I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. So then on the bottom shelf, I have, first of all, on the left, I have a big container that stores almost 10 kilograms of pellets. So most of what comes in that bag usually fits into this crate, but I have a wee bit left over which isn't in here at the moment. And I can show you what pellets I use some other time. On top of that box I have a bunch of stuff I want to show you in a different video, so I'm not going to go into that. At the back of the cupboard I store 4 heat pads that I generally use in the winter, although I don't think I will use them for the rest until the end of the year now, so I will probably move those into the garage and put them just inside their carry cases. I also have a spare water bottle. So then I have their medication box, which is the one with the cross on it, and I can talk you through that some other time, but it contains syringes, shampoo, brushes, nail clippers and a bunch of other things. Then I have that pink Eeyore cup at the front, which I use to mix up their critical care, which the skinnies get every night at the moment. And there's a second syringe for the Metacam, which you can maybe just about make out in the brown food bowl. And in there I have the container as well with the critical care. And behind that I have a tub of probiotic, although I'm kind of on the fence about how good that brand or that stuff is. But again, I can talk you through that when I show you at some point what I have in my medicine box. So I briefly mentioned before that I already pulled a lot of their fleeces out. You may have noticed I didn't mention any of the fleeces to go into their cage that covers the base of the cage, nor their towels that I use for underneath the fleeces. And the reason is I have pulled those out and into crates, which I will leave on top of the cupboard for when I am away, so my husband doesn't have to kind of hunt for what he needs. At the moment it looks like it actually doesn't fit in that cupboard anymore. That's because usually I have some hanging up in the drying cupboard, so that will take some of the bulk away, and I also just got some new fleeces. So let me show you that next. So first of all I have this green tartan fleece, which I bought a month ago or so, and I just bought that in a fabric shop in Edinburgh, and I quite like it. It's not usually colour I would choose, but it's really soft and beautiful, so I got it, and it kind of goes really nicely with pink as well, and I have a lot of pink stuff generally. So just before I move on to the crate with the fleeces, let me show you this area here under the radiator, which I now call the skinny pig area, because that's where the skinny pigs like to sit. So this is now, if you imagine you come from the Guinea Pig Room, which is just over there, and you walk through here and then just under the heater, so you actually don't need to imagine it because I just showed you. Anyway, so this area is mostly for the guinea pigs because they like to be warm and cozy. At the moment, I think in one of the tunnels we have a Frankie, which is obviously a hairy pig, but I think she's sulking because she hasn't had breakfast yet. So let's move on to this crate and what we have in here. So let me pull some of this out. So this here is the bag I use for putting their fleeces in when I put them in the washing machine. So usually this isn't in the cupboard that I just showed you, because it will either be in the washing machine or in the drying cupboard. I then have this pink fleece here, which I only got last week, and it's from IKEA, and the quality of it is superb. I have a lot of fleeces, and I've had a lot of fleeces, but this is really good fleece. It's quite thick. It's not the normal fleece blankets they had in the past. I think this is new. I kept the wrapper for you, so this is the wrapper for that fleece, and it's really quite big. It was £10, so it's not the cheapest. However, the quality is excellent and it is quite large, so I bought 2 of these and I cut them up. You quite done there? Yeah. So I bought 2 of these and cut them. So can the guinea pigs please not argue? So I bought 2 of these and cut them up so they fit the cage perfectly. And then I have enough left over to fit the guinea pig area twice. And I still have some material left over, which I will turn into either blankets for the IKEA beds or lap blankets or stuff like that. So that's one set for the cage. Then on top of the crate you can see my red tartan fabric, which I had for ages. This is actually the 3rd time I have cut it up and sewn it back together to fit a cage, because each time I change my cage, which isn't very often because I prefer the wooden cages that we build ourselves, and they're not very modular, so it doesn't happen that often. But yeah, each time I kind of had to cut it to size. So this is the 3rd time I cut it and sewed it back together to fit the cage. So that shows you that I had it for a long time as well. Let me talk to you next about the pink cupcake fleece at the front. So this I bought years ago in Asda, and again the quality of it is superb, and I've used it for a long time, and I use it constantly actually. This used to be 3 blankets. I kind of cut them, sewed them back together, so they now are 2 strips, which is exactly what I need to fit the guinea pig cage. So if you have seen before that I had 2 rolls of fleeces, it's because I always use 2 strips of fleece to cover the guinea pig cage, and then I can just clean half of the cage each day. The brown with beige and blue stripy fabric, that is just a plain towel. It's a beach towel, and I have 4 of these, and that's what I use in the base of the cage. So again, I use 2 of these to cover the entire cage, and then each day I will wash 1 of them. So I have enough for 1 cage and a backup for another cage. In here I also, in this crate, this fabric here, that is one of their hidey hats, and I really like that, and I have 3 of those, and they're really fantastic quality, I like them. And inside I have one of my favorite cuddle cups, which I also use under the heater for the piggies, for the skinnies that is. And that's all the fleece that I have for the guinea pigs. So this was a wee bit of a boring video in that you didn't get to see the piggies very much. They're all upset with me anyway because they haven't had their breakfast yet. So I shall go and clean the cage, and then I'll show you quickly once it's cleaned. So that's the cage now cleaned, and the piggies have their new fleece. So I actually moved the crate with all the fleeces that hubby will need while I'm away on top of the the ready grass box. And here is the usual bin that I use for shaking out fleeces. I moved the hay rack over to the other side, filled up their water bottle and gave them some pellets, and then put all their footstools in. And some other time I will explain why I moved the hay rack from one side to the other, and tell you all a bit about that. And I also cleaned out the guinea pig area and put a new fleece in. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up. And if this is the first time you've seen any of my videos, or if you have seen multiple ones of them and you like them and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It would make our day. Anyway, take care and see you next time. Bye bye.